Cars produced during World War II. The automotive industry appeared to have a promising future at the beginning of the 1940s. Significant advancements had been made in both mechanics and design during the 1930s. The first vehicles of the new decade were both luxury and creative. But as we all know, shortly thereafter, the world would be overwhelmed by one of two world wars, World War II. At this point, we are prompted to ask, but how did the automakers adapt to these sudden changes? Were any particular cars produced? And if so, which ones? In this, we will try to answer these questions. A new design philosophy emerged in the 1930s, and for the first time, cars started to serve as status symbols rather than just modes of transportation. Chrysler introduced its town and country wagon in 1941, the first minivan with its distinctive wooden exterior panels. In 1940, there were around 4.7 million cars produced in the United States, but on January 1, 1942, the government halted the sale of consumer cars. Automakers were producing torpedoes, tanks, airplanes, trucks, jeeps, and even helmets, instead of high-end designs and innovative automotive technologies. In order to create room for new machinery, factories were demolished, and numerous automobile components were melted down at steel mills for use in the war effort. Nearly two-thirds of the military hardware produced by the Allies during the war, including 86,000 tanks, 193,000 artillery pieces, 297,000 aircraft, and 2 million Army trucks, was produced by American industry. The size of American industrial production, which was already the highest in the world, doubled in 4 years. Despite commercial manufacture ceasing, the military Jeep emerged as a new vehicle fad from this period. In November 1940, before the United States officially entered the war, the U.S. Army was given the first Jeep prototype. The Willys Quad was a prototype vehicle created by Ohio-based Willys Overland Motors. It became a standard in almost every branch of the military due to its powerful torque and toughness. From 1941 through 1945, over 300,000 came off the assembly lines. The United States produced almost 3 million automobiles. Throughout the entire war, just 139 more were produced. Chrysler produced fuselages in its place. General Motors produced tanks, trucks, weapons, and airplane engines. The British Air Force purchased Rolls-Royce engines from Packard, and the Ford Motor Company worked something of a miracle at its sizable Willow Run plant in Ypsilanti, Michigan, around the clock. A Ford automobile typically had 15,000 components. 1,550,000 were the long-range bomber B-24 Liberator. At the end of the war, after 1945, the government restarted commercial production, and automakers showed their 1946 models to a populace that was anxious to go back on the road. The post-war automobiles introduced enormous tail fins and wide swaths of chrome, taking cues from some of the design elements of aircraft. Shiny headlight housings, grills, and bumpers all displayed a gleaming mass of automobile craftsmanship. Meanwhile, innovations were taking place inside the cars too. In place of a starter or hand crank, Chrysler produced a key-operated automobile in 1948. In the same year, Buick introduced the Dynaflow, an automated transmission that made driving safer and simpler. Buick is now the industry pioneer in shiftless driving thanks to this invention. Despite being ineffective in terms of fuel economy, it led to other significant changes for 1940s cars. A direct result of the post-war wealth that the majority of Americans experienced, power windows appeared on the scene and cars kept getting bigger. The answers to our questions or doubts at the beginning of the video can be encapsulated in one answer. Most automobile manufacturing factories during World War II focused almost entirely on the production of military vehicles and spare parts. Which automobile advancement do you think the 1940s saw the most of? Comment down below. Thanks for watching.